Terror by night. The village of Orlane is dying. Once a small and thriving community, Orlane has become a maze of locked doors and frightened faces. Strangers are shunned, trade has withered, rumours flourish, growing wilder with each retelling. Terrified peasants flee their homes, abandoning their farms with no explanation. Others simply disappear. No one seems to know the cause of the decay. Why are there no clues? Who skulks through the twisted shadows of the night? Who or what is behind the doom that has overtaken the village? It will take a brave and skillful band of adventurers to solve the dark riddle of Orlane. That is the introduction to the adventure as read on the first page of the module. The module itself, Against the Cult of the Reptile God, was written by Douglas Niles in 1982 for Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, but will work with other OSR systems. Old school Renaissance, that is. For example, Dungeon Crawl Classics is probably the biggest one. If you're a player, consider sending this video to the DM, as there will be spoilers for the actual module itself. Okay, first up, I would advise changing the name of the adventure to stop spoilers. You don't want to give away straight away to your players that there is a cult of a reptile god. You want to remain a mystery. So what I went with is something sinister is at work in Orlane, but you're a DM, you can come up with it yourself. One of the first things in the module is a table of rumors. You can roll for them randomly, or you can pick your favorite ones. Two of my favorite ones include sinister and mysterious evil is at work in the village, which is obviously true if you've read the module. And the people of Orlane are being altered, which is true. And the changelings can be recognized by fang marks on their throats. The second half of that is false. So once you've done the rumor table, then begins the trek to Orlane itself. According to the module, it's supposedly it passes eventlessly, but I believe they should encounter a villager. It's a small change that you can make. Someone to whet the appetite of the players and temper expectations, to give a basic overview of major locations and notable NPCs. Okay, so that's the introduction done. First up, I want to talk about the village of Orlane. So the village is a sandbox for players to explore. There are various locations and NPCs that players can meet and talk to. First up, I want to talk about the Golden Grain Inn, which sounds very inconspicuous compared to the other inn in town, the Inn of the Slumbering Serpent. But in fact, the Golden Grain Inn is, spoilers, home to the cult of the reptile god. The owner of the Golden Grain Inn is Bertram Baswell, who has made the inn headquarters for cult activity. The owner actually tries to drug the party and capture them. I personally don't like this, and I find it to be a little bit railroady. I haven't enjoyed situations where the party are captured. In my opinion, it rarely goes well. I would suggest running the inn as a social encounter-based dungeon, where, yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory. The basement of the inn itself leads to a dungeon with a giant statue of a naga. So if the players do find the basement underneath the inn, it would give a major clue to what's going to happen later on. Another location I want to talk about is the Temple of America. So the temple has a basement layer hidden underneath a prayer room where players can fight monsters. Notably, in the original handout included with the module, the maze in the dungeon below the Temple of America doesn't actually have an exit. All the fan recreations that I've seen, the fan maps, you probably can see it on the screen right now, have included some sort of door or passageway to allow the maze to actually function, but as it currently stands based in the module, it doesn't work. And then the upper floor has a maiden in distress who is very cliche, I will admit, but it could easily be fleshed out as some kind of recurring NPC. As time passes in the module, different events take place. For example, more people may be captured and converted into the cult. Some people may disappear, and so it could be nice to have a recursive NPC that you can see on multiple occasions, and perhaps even after you finish the module, how you can expand it off later on. Next, I want to talk about NPCs. So, firstly, I want to talk about Bamni, the wizard. So, hidden in the grove of stately elms, Bamni and his weasel whiskers are found there. I really enjoyed running this encounter. The wizard says a lot of things that are true but sound to be false. So I had the wizard tell the party that the town was run by reptiles, and he sounded like a conspiracy theorist. They sound the town is run by reptiles, and they are overlords and they're controlling people. And something that works quite well with this is that one of the secret symbols for the cult members is to place a palm of your hand on your forehead to indicate that you're in the cult. But when Bamley introduced this to the character, he talked about how every time he mentioned the cult to random NPCs, they either didn't take him on or they face palmed, which the players had a good laugh at. The implication that they were the other villagers were face palming in response to what he was saying is quite funny. But then they were actually giving the sign showing that they were in the cult. I thought that was a really fun encounter. The next NPC I want to talk about is the mayor. It's like Carias Ormond. He is notable in that he has recruited two mercenaries, Dorian and Lewian, who are two elves. Now, the way the module is actually set up, it's quite hard for the party to learn about these mercenaries. If they knock on the door, there's a good chance they're just not going to let them in. And the mayor has a secret letter that he wrote to these two people, hoping for them to come to the town to help fix the problem. Uh, I would say if you're an inventive DM, you can come up with a way for the mayor to introduce these two NPCs to the party. I think it's important because in the final dungeon of the adventure, it's quite difficult without NPC sort of help Deus Ex Machina style. Okay, so that is the village of Orlane. Next up, I want to talk about the big bad, the final dungeon. So, the big bad is a spirit naga named Explicita Defilus. The battle will be difficult without the help of NPC allies such as the elves or Bamni. I would recommend having some sort of Deus Ex Machina style um, intervention. Uh, I don't want to go and give too many spoilers for the actual final dungeon itself, but it is reasonably well laid out. So, in conclusion, I'm going to give this book an 18 out of 20. If you're interested in finding this book, you can easily find it through the DM's Guild, or you can find it on eBay for around 30 US dollars, 25 British pounds. So, yeah, this is my first video. If you like it, leave a like. If you have any constructive criticism, feel free to leave a comment and I will read it. Yeah, thank you for listening.